Let's see what we have here. Patch 2.9.0. Card updates. Now, that's a long post, brother. I feel like Dovagetis knew he had to try to... He's like, if he put this first, nothing would have been... Nobody would read what comes next. So he had to put this first instead. He had to put this first in order for people to read it first. Because if you put this first, they'd get to here, and it's like, well, we're rioting. They're not... Okay, smart move, Dovagetis. Smart move, brother. Correct order. I'm impressed. Let's cover what this says. And I love how they put the double buffs before the nerfs. That's great. First impressions are important, chat. We buffed your two least played. This is so smart. I'm just looking at the order of things, dude. First, the buffs. You know, you gotta start them off really happy, hoping that that little spike of dopamine covers the rest of the disappointment. Dude, this is. I think they got together in a meeting in a boardroom, like, how do we order this in the most efficient manner? So good. So good, dude. They hid the rest. Listen, even this. Do you guys realize that they had this backwards? Type 1 if you were there when they made this go from 4.5 to 4.6. Like when they had this backwards. Were you there? When you saw this being backwards, when they made a mistake. And everyone was like, well, they increased the cost, but they also made it a 6 HP. I think that was on purpose. So that afterwards, like, no, they nerfed it even more. You know, this is such 18-head move from Riot. They did it on purpose, so people felt like they double nerfed it. You know? First, they made it feel like, oh, it's a small nerf, but it still got nerfed, and then they see double nerf, actually. It's like, with these patch notes, they were so smart in their approach. They were so smart. Amazing. Because there's no way a single person in Riot didn't see that. Amazing. Actually, if this patch note didn't have this order, if it didn't have that typo, if it didn't have, I expect people would have actually like camped outside of Riot in their tents. Imagine if this was not here, and if like this came first, and then it's like, that's all the nerfs, and then this came afterwards. Like literally everyone in Riot, everyone would be pitchforking outside. Now they're only pitchforking on Twitter. They have done damage control. Okay, so for the order, I give this patch notes a 10 out of 10. I don't think I could have done better. I don't think I could have done this well. Order was a 10 out of 10. Fantastic job in the order. Not only that, listen, chat. Listen. I want to show you something. They buffed Azirelia. Okay? They buffed Azirelia. And nobody saw it happen. Look. The biggest buff in the patch. Literally the biggest buff. It's a bigger buff than this. Well, not this, but it's a bigger buff than the Malphite buff. They put it here, chat. It's so smart. Dude, actually genius. Actually absolutely genius. This patch notes, whoever did it deserves a raise. I expect a big raise for whoever made this patch notes. Like, so intelligent. So intelligent. Dude, this is the greatest design patch notes of all time. All right, listen. Anyway, let's go through the patch notes now that I said that. 10 out of 10 in terms of how they designed it. How they designed this page. I mean, it's just beautiful. We've seen a lot of conversation in the community lately on the topic of live design. Players are passionate about it, and we're passionate about it as well. We believe that live design is strongly connected to one of our fundamental beliefs, which is that every player should be able to have access to all cards and all decks without spending money. That fundamental aspect of Legends of Runeterra unlocks our team to be able to make card updates without punishing players for the past card and deck acquisition choices. Fantastic. Ultimately, our goal is to make Legends of Runeterra the most fun we can. When making live design decisions, we don't focus on any single aspect. We use complex data models on card usage, region usage, win rates, deck lists, performance versus specific decks, different formats, different ranks, win rate disparity, performance over time, etc. We also consider a complex model of how decks feel relative to the meta, and we survey the community regularly to learn how players feel about cards, specific decks, archetypes, meta, game health, game modes, cosmetics, future game content ideas, the list goes on and on. We try to focus our changes to be as targeted as possible and to avoid collateral damage or unintended consequences to decks we don't want to affect. Making a small amount of changes can have large impacts in the metagame. We also try to let the community find new ways to evolve playstyles and the metagame to change over time without the live design card I'm actually a big fan of this. I really dislike knee-jerk reactions to things that are strong. Like a new card comes out or a new champion Dota comes out or something comes out and people are like, this is way overpowered. I like for there to be a bit of time for the community to figure out how to deal with it before nerfs happen. So I'm a fan of this. One of the amazing things about the card game genre is the ability the community has to explore and discover new strategies that can dramatically shift the meta over time without any card changes. That process is fun, and we don't want to artificially disrupt that process by implementing live design changes too quickly, too often. I do agree to an extent. I do. However, there are times when it's clear the changes are necessary to ensure the experience is fun and exciting. Taliyah and Malphite are both clear examples that need live design attention. It's an easy decision to make because so many of our inputs into the decision-making process clearly indicate that Taliyah, Malphite, and the primary decks are not meeting our standard. Azirelia and Azure are not so obvious because there are different inputs that contradict each other, and it takes time to gather information to make a decision. In the first 3 weeks of Guardian of the Ancient, we have seen Azirelia and Azure's deck rise and fall in popularity and efficacy. Over time, our decision on whether or not we should make balance changes on the deck has shifted. I mean, this rise and fall is literally, the entire meta is Azir Azirelia. Everyone's playing it. Then, everyone's countering it. And then, since everyone is countering it, its drop late falls a little bit and people stop countering it as much, and then it comes right back to everyone playing it. And then everyone's, like, the entire thing revolved around whether you're playing dragons to stop this, and even dragons couldn't stop it. And then Fiora was there for a while, and, like, I don't know. Like, of course it's going to go up and down because, like, when everyone's playing Azirelia, when you have, like, 20% people playing it, of course everyone's going to be running Mono Fioras and stuff. And like, well, hell, I'm playing Azirelia, I'm just facing Mono Fiora every 10 games, and, like, everything else is, like, teched against me. I'm gonna swap over. But it doesn't matter. Let's keep going. We love the play pattern of Azirelia as well as Blade Dance. I think it's a really cool play pattern. I do too. I think it's a very cool mechanic. I personally hate it. So I'm not a part of the Wii, but I think it's really cool, and I bet a lot of people enjoy it. I hate it. I don't like playing it. I like playing it. I actually enjoy playing against it because it forces you to be very reactive, and I love playing reactive decks. The only problem is, all of the decks I love are usually decks that use board wipes as a way to punish aggro decks. And Azirelia is the first deck archetype that is not really punished because all of their low HP units are not actually units, they're tokens that get regenerated every single turn. So, unfortunately, it makes my decks that run multiple avalanches, multiple ravines, multiple slow board wipes pretty bad. And that's an unfortunate thing. I mean, Ravine's still pretty good against this deck, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of 1 HP units it gets rid of. But overall, it's not the kind of deck I like to face. I don't like playing it, but I do understand why it's a very cool thing to have a different deck archetype out there. It just makes the game more diverse. So I agree. I bet a lot of people like it. I think it's cool that it's in the game. We've learned it's a little bit disappointing that my favorite decks are a little bit weak against it, but that's a personal note. That's not I don't think that's true for most people. We've learned that a ton of players love it too, and we want to keep the feel of the deck intact, sure. However, our most recent information indicates the deck is just too powerful. Yep. So we're making 2 very targeted changes. We hope to maintain the fun while opening up opportunities for other strategies and to reduce the frustration of players against it. We'll continue to monitor the metagame as it evolves, and we'll consider more changes going forward if necessary. Okay. We're always learning and improving Legends of Runeterra in our processes. Sometimes we'll make mistakes, but we always do our best to listen to all of our players and improve along the way. We're all on this journey together, and the community's passion and love for the game inspires us to always do better. Thanks for the feedback over the past few weeks. Keep it coming. Dovajetis. Overall, pretty good post. Pretty good post. If it wasn't for Azirelia getting buffed. I don't know. I don't even know if... I mean, it is a nerf. It did get nerfed. These 2 nerfs are definitely overpowering the Azirelia buff. But this is a really big buff to Azirelia. Like... because like you don't level Azirelia for the +1 attack. You don't level her for the +1 HP. The only reason you level Azirelia is because the moment she starts getting those 0 cost cards, she becomes absolutely super powerful. And this literally means Azirelia levels 1 attack earlier in every single scenario. Because that's what it means. 1 attack earlier she levels. Because her true level is not her level up. Her true level up is when she gets a 0 cost card. Nobody cares about the +1/+1 to Azirelia. Nobody cares about it. The true Azirelia level up is her getting that 0 cost spell. So this buff it literally says Azirelia levels 1 attack earlier. And that's huge. That's gigantic. If it took 5 attacks to level her, now it takes 4. If it took 3 to level her, now it takes 2. If it took 6 to level, now it takes 5. In every single scenario. So anyway. Someone clip grabs thoughts. I haven't even started yet. I'm just reading the patch notes for now. It's a huge buff to her. But these are pretty big nerfs as well. This is a huge nerf, gigantic nerf. And this is a pretty big nerf. That's a pretty big nerf as well. So these two are very big nerfs. All right, let's go. First of all, champions. Taliyah from 2-4 to 3-5. I caught Swim saying that this is not really a big buff. I think it's a huge buff. Why is it a huge buff? Because 2-4 can't trade with anything. I'm sorry, a 2-4 doesn't trade with anything. 4 HP dies to so many units. 5 HP dies to almost no units. Like, most very good units in the game are 4 attack units. And all of a sudden she survives combat with them. That's a huge buff. It's do nothing? What do you mean? It's not do nothing. I think people forget about what Taliyah is supposed to do. The only deck Taliyah is seeing play in at the moment is the Lissandra deck, where she copies the summon an 8-cost unit, right? That's the only deck she sees playing, and her sole role is to double a landmark, and that's it. And you just leave her, yeah, the Thrall deck. That's the only deck she sees playing. So, of course, in that deck, that does nothing for her. Because she literally, her stats don't matter. She's used as a copy of landmark card, and that's it. That's her only role. Whether she's a 3-5 or a 2-4 doesn't make any difference in that deck. But that's not what Taliyah is about. Like, Taliyah, the dream of Taliyah is to build a deck around her. You want to build a landmark deck. And if she is one of your win cons, if you're playing her for her actual effect, the deal 2 damage to multiple units and to face nonstop, 5 HP and 4 HP are 2 worlds apart. It literally means that when she attacks, she gets to attack 1 extra time. She gets to trade with 1 extra unit. A 4-6 compared to a 3-5 is a massive difference in stats. A 3-5 you can kill very easily with a lot of things. A 2-4 is so easy to kill with a lot of things. 3-5 gets out of single combat range from a ton of units. 4-6 is extremely hard to kill. So she'll get off 1 extra attack, which is a huge deal. Like, 0 mana do 1 more attack with Taliyah is insane. So I think this is a really good buff for her. Is it the buff she needed? Well, not necessarily. I think, generally speaking, maybe she needs a better landmark. Maybe the game requires better landmarks. I'm not sure. We'll have to play with her just to get a feel for her. We might be missing out on some decks that are supposed to be strong but are not strong. Maybe we're not. Maybe the meta's too fast for her to see play. We don't know yet, but it'll take time. So I think this is a really good buff. I think it's the right direction, honestly. I don't think she needed a different kind of buff. If you wanted to buff her, sure, the best way to do it is to release a landmark that goes really well with her. But since this is not an expansion, this is a patch notes. This is as good of a buff as you can hope for Taliyah before an expansion. Malphite from 12 plus to 10 plus. That's a pretty big buff. Now he levels up guaranteed just from that 1/5 cost card. That makes him way more consistent. Is he a good champion? I don't know. But it's a very consistent level up now. Now you don't need to get one of your 2/3s to die. Now you don't need to draw more than 1 landmark. Now he can actually level up just from 1 landmark. It's decent. So it's a decent buff. Will he be great? I don't know. But it's okay. It's the step in the right direction. You know? I like these buffs overall. They're not broken buffs. They're not becoming tier 1 cards anytime soon, unless maybe this was enough to push them there. I doubt it, but who knows? We'll find out. Still, I like this. Step in the right direction. Both very solid buffs to each champion. So, like, this is very significant. This is extremely significant. So I disagree with people saying these are not big buffs. They're a step in the right. You know what? I don't know what you guys expect. Oh, I want Taliyah to be tier 1. Make her an 8/8. You know, sure, Riot could do that. But then you would only play versus Taliyah, and then what? And then people were like, Riot sucks. They broke the game by making Taliyah 8/8. Who 5 mana 8/8 keck double? You know, come on, guys. You know, you got to take it a step at a time. Now, here's where the big things come. That's all the buffs. We're going to the nerfs. People wanted Azirelia nerf. People wanted TLC nerf. People wanted Thresh Nasus nerf. I think those are the 3 people wanted. Boom! 1 of the 3 got hit. 1 of the 3 got hit. This is where the anger comes from. Also, where's the explanation? What? There is none. All right, chat. Time up. Listen, it is obvious Mr. Dovagetis, his flangellas were very tired after typing all this out. And then when he put this down, he's like, come on, it's obvious. It's obviously just a nerf. I don't need to explain it to them. His flangellas were breaking already. Look at, he freaking typed out a university essay here. A man can only type for so long, you know, at the end of the day. He had to take a break. All right, so Blossoming Blade is now a 5-cost 4/3. That is a massive nerf. Nothing else to say about that. That nerf is massive. Irrelevant? It's not irrelevant. This is one of the best cards the deck has. I mean, you guys might disagree, but Blade Dance on 4 when you have like Azir and the landmark down is insane value. That nerf is massive. It is. You can't play this on 4, you have to play it on 5. 4-cost and 5-cost are two different things. It's a massive nerf. Not so much because nobody cares about the stats that much. It's the cost nerf. That's ridiculous. Still OP. It's still a decent card and it's still going to be run in the deck, but it's a big nerf. You guys are memeing. It's not going to break or make the deck. Like, the deck doesn't really need to get this on curve. You still have the ridiculous 1/1 into landmark into like another 1/1 plus Azir plus destroy your board, destroy your HP right in 1 second. Even before this comes out. Sure, the deck is still very strong. But this nerf on the card itself is a big nerf. It's a big nerf for this one card. It makes this card significantly worse. I'm not saying it's a huge nerf to the deck. Wait, time out. You guys are misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is nerfing Azirelia tremendously. I'm saying the card was nerfed tremendously. I'm saying this card is significantly worse. Not that the deck is significantly worse. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm just saying this one card is much worse than it was. The deck is still very good. Like, this card change doesn't change the deck massively. It's not a massive nerf to the deck. It's a massive nerf to the card. Okay? Do we agree on that? It does touch it. I mean, come on. Any massive nerf to one card, and if the deck runs 3 copies of the card, touches the deck. I mean, we're not going to be angry and just disregard the fact that, of course, if you nerf one of the cards of the deck is somewhat nerfed. Is it a massive nerf? No. It's just a massive nerf to the set card, but the deck is still very strong. It is a small nerf to the deck. Now, Inspiring Marshal, absolutely massive nerf. Not only is he a 6-cost now, coming one turn later, that's huge. He also dies to so many more things now. You kill him with the 5/5 challenger you can get from Targon. You kill him with the Bilgewater deal 5 to which is actually a pretty decent card and way stronger now in this matchup. You kill him with Harpoon. It's a she. Okay, you're right. Like 5 HP and 6 HP are 2 worlds apart. Way better. Glory Seeker slaps him, correct. 5/4 Demacia Challenger slaps him. There's a lot of things that beat him up really fast. The dragon only needs 1 kill before, like, what is the dragon? It's a 5-cost dragon. The 5-cost dragon needs to kill 1. Like, let's say on mana 5, you play the 5-cost dragon. What do? Do they summon any tokens that turn? Because next turn they can't play Marshal. It's a 5/6 dragon next turn. 5/5 dragon. Yeah, I'm saying it only needs to kill 1 token before it can kill this. Second of all, you play that 4/5 dragon on turn 5. They drop Marshal on turn 5, and all of a sudden that dragon is taking 3 damage from tokens. Whereas now they can't even play it on the same turn. So this is a really big buff to the 5-cost dragon. Since on mana 5, they're not able to summon 3/1s. All of their tokens are still 1/1s, which means the dragon is going to be a 5/5, which means it trades positively if they drop Marshal on 6. So overall, this nerf is gigantic to this guy. In the current meta, is gigantic as well. If Azirelia was not an insane deck, I would call this an absolute over nerf. But just considering how strong Azirelia is, that they don't necessarily really need this card, you know, it's still a strong deck. But this, if it was just these two changes, I would say this is more than enough nerfs. But there remains the fact that they did also buff Aurelia massively. Like, this was a really big buff. But this buff they gave Aurelia here, I'm no longer sure. That's a big buff. That's a big buff to Aurelia. You don't understand why I think it's a buff? This, Aurelia levels up one attack earlier every single game. Do you guys realize how strong Azirelia is when she levels up? That's when you start literally constantly swapping Azirelia with your elusive or your 10/10 little 1-drop. Like, Azirelia creates Blade Surge when she levels instead of the attack after leveling. Getting the 0-cost card 1 attack earlier means your sparring student is hitting 1 attack earlier to face, or trading with your 7/7 1 attack earlier. 1 attack earlier is significant. That's scary. I mean, it's a really big buff. So I don't know how that's going to affect everything. Now, call me crazy. I think these 2 nerfs are going to do something to the deck. What's going to happen with Azirelia? I think Azirelia is going to be much more of a true aggro deck than it was before. Because before, Azirelia had early game, mid game, and late game dominance. It was super good early if you got the right draw. It was really good mid game. And then even late game on mana 8 and 9, they were hitting for massive amounts. I think with this change, it has to be a little bit faster. It's going to be just as scary early game, but mid game is going to be a lot weaker. Marshal coming out 1 turn later, this coming out 1 turn later. So their early game is going to be just as scary, but their mid game is going to be way worse. They might have to even... I could even see an argument for cutting Marshal. Not even crazy. I know it might sound scary. I mean, it might sound crazy or stupid. I could see an argument to cut out Marshal and make the deck a more aggro deck. Make it a faster deck. Honestly. Because right now, Marshal dropping down on 6... as a 4/5 feels so weak. Because keep in mind, when you play him on 6, you have nothing to play him with, right? You're at 6 mana, you just dropped him, you have 3 spell mana, that's it. You're dropping him on Ruination turn, which is catastrophic. Like, he's so easy to drop in 5. He is very easy to drop in mana 5. Mana 6 is a big mana drop. That's where all the things start opening up. And he's a 5 HP unit, not a 6 HP unit. Ruination is going to destroy him. Like, you literally can't drop him on 6 ever versus Shadow Isles that run 1. If a deck runs 1 Ruination, you can't drop Inspiring Marshal. Okay, she's a girl. You can't drop her in mana 6. You can't, because you lose the game. If they banked 3 spell mana the turn before. You drop her in 6, you lose the game. Voice of the Risen? Bro, what is Voice of the Risen? Everyone keeps saying that. It's still significantly worse than Marshal. Oh, if you level a champion, blah blah, yeah, the new card. I kept thinking you guys were saying I was the voice of reason. God damn it, chat. No, I thought you guys were complimenting this whole time, saying you're the voice of reason. Oh, oh no, dude. Why, chat? I thought you were complimenting me the whole time. Voice of delusion. Yeah, but you have to level a champion for this. So this is not really a mana 4 play, because this doesn't do anything on mana 4. Does this do anything on mana 4? Also, this is significantly worse. I'll tell you why. It's because you can get rid of this effect by killing it. Like, let's say you attack with 5 tokens and somebody does, I don't know. You play Black Spear on this. All of a sudden, all of your tokens get debuffed. The crazy thing about Marshal was once your tokens attack, even if you kill Marshal, they have the buff until the end of the turn. Like, the buff doesn't go away. Yes, but this is much easier to kill. Like, its stat line is 4 HP versus Marshal being 1 more cost and being 6 HP. This is way worse than Marshal. Like, it's a much worse Marshal. You can't ever attack with it because it dies instantly. This is never attacking. It's within Culling Strike range. It gets killed by single combat with almost everything Demacia has. It dies to the dragon on 5 very easily. It dies to a lot of things. Like, it's very easy to remove. And if you remove it during combat, everything gets unbuffed. So you can play, like, let's say this deck attacks with everything, you play Culling Strike. Well, everything gets debuffed. Whereas Marshal gives permanent buffs. Azir gives permanent buffs to units for the turn. It's better now than 6-cost Marshal? Probably, yes. Yes, I agree with that. But it's much worse than 5-cost Marshal. So, Azirelia got a pretty decent nerf, I would say, with these two. Like, pretty good nerf. But then there's this buff. I don't know where it's going to be at. I think it's possible Azirelia is in a good spot. Call me crazy. I think with these two things, it would have definitely been maybe even a little bit... not weak per se, but I think even with this happening, we have to test the deck. We have to test the deck. I know one thing for a fact, though. This deck is so much easier to counter right now. With the current state of Azirelia, the deck is so much easier to counter. It's way easier to counter this deck. There's a lot more ways to beat the deck now that they don't have this crazy mid-game than there was before. You can't culling. She also gets +2, does she? You might be right about that. You're right, actually. That's a good point. Thank you. So you can't culling strike. Good point. Test the deck. I'm not going to play Azirelia. Anyway, now let's go to what has not been said. Well, labs... Well, I'm not going to talk about the labs. Miscellaneous. I don't understand. I get it. As lore continues to grow, we're beginning to run against challenges caused by outdated tech. Cross-shard friend challenges is one of the culprits. It's taking resources that we need to develop some of lore's most exciting features planned for further along the pipeline. We have more information on social features and lore in the future. I really, really hope that they have a way around this in the future. This is a really bad change for the game. I really hope they can find a way to change this, man. It can't be that difficult. It's a card game. It's not ping. I mean, I guess it is. Maybe their backbone architecture for their servers and everything is just designed in a way that's very inefficient. But it's so disappointing that a card game that is not ping reliant, that doesn't care about ping or anything, can't have cross shard play. This is what I'm most disappointed about. And I mean, we saw this coming. We knew this was going to come. But it's so disappointing. Overtime has been adjusted for best of 3 matches. While in overtime, players can have 25 seconds to complete their turn. I don't even know what overtime is. Am I crazy? Is that for like the gauntlets, best of 3? Anyway. Bug fixes. We talked about the most important one. Okay. Wait. Currently gives an enemy -2/+0, even the player casting it cannot predict. Oh, I never even knew that was a thing. Wait, does it go through Spell Shield still? Did they fix that? Anybody know? Does Scrying Sand still fail to break Spell Shield? Oh. All right, dude. All right, chat. I didn't read the next line. We're good. Because like, wait, why would they change this and not the other one? Okay, fixed. Good. I think that's about it, right? Let's discuss the elefante in the room. No changes to TLC. No changes to Thresh Nasus. How do you feel about that, chat? How do you feel about no changes to those things? No TLC buff nerf. No Thresh Nasus nerf. How do you feel about the fact that those two decks are going to be just... That's a yikes, bro. Disgusting. Tired of Lissandra Trundle. Garbage. BBG had a fit. Shadow Owls is OP. Yep. Now, I'll give a few points of view here. First of all, TLC. I mean, what is the real problem of TLC? The true issue behind TLC is what? This card, right? In all honesty, it really is Fading Memories. It's the fact... Matron is a problem in a lot of decks, I agree. But I think this is a bigger problem. Matron is a pretty big problem, too. But getting infinite amount of them with this is a huge issue as well. You can't watch her. Watch her deck? Yeah, watch her. Exactly. See, I like Matron. Matron was always a dead card and finally found a place to play. Watch her in Matron, watch her in Matron, watch her in Matron. Okay, yes. But I don't think that's the main issue. I really think Fading Memories is a bigger problem, personally, with the card. I think the way this interacts with Watcher is the biggest issue. How do you feel? How do you nerf Fading? Yeah, but see, I don't like the fix, like, make Matron unable to be copied. That's like a very non-elegant way to fix it. 0 mana. The fact that it makes a 0 mana 11/11 win the game is a problem. And you can make so many of them. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to stop. Like this, the fact that this has that much value in that deck, it can copy Trundle's it copies too many good things. Make Watcher cost at least something. Make Matron drop the card. Well, that would make Matron unplayable. Unless it drops it as a non-ephemeral, then it's overpowered as hell. Yeah, it really is Watcher costing 0 and having Fading Memories. Like, without Fading Memories, I really don't think Watcher is that big of a problem. Because you can at most get 2 Watchers out in one turn. And that's if you have Matron. And you get it super... Like, Fading Memories is the big issue in my head. Like, if Fading Memories didn't exist, I don't think that deck would be that oppressive. I really don't. You can never play more than 2 Watchers in a turn, and that's if you have
What about making it only be
Matron.
able to copy cards that cost like less than 3 or 4 mana?
What about making it only be able to copy cards? Copy cards that cost less than 3 or 4 mana? Well, Matron costs 0. That's like... That's everything I'm saying, brother. Sure. Sure, I like that. But Matron costs 0. So, no problem solved there. Yeah. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix it without, like, nerfing cards. Well, of course you have to nerf cards, but... So my problem with TLC is the following. It's... See, I even don't have a huge problem with it. It's oppressive to certain meta decks. Like, I like TLC existing as long as it's not as oppressive as it is. But it's so oppressive in terms of what it does for late game decks. Like, right now you cannot run slow decks. Tell me a slow deck that you can run that is not Targon based. That's a side point, by the way. I actually think Targon is in a great place right now. All memes aside, I think our Karma Zoe deck is going to be able to destroy everything at this moment. What was the biggest issue we were having with this deck? And this deck has a really good win rate so far. What was our biggest issue with this deck? Azirelia being too fast. We would not win all of our Azirelia matchups because sometimes they were just too quick, too fast. 3 times Hush and 1 time Sunburst beats up on Nasus if we draw them. This can beat Nasus Thresh at maybe like... It's close to 50-50, maybe even... I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't played it enough times, but this deck can definitely beat it. This deck destroys TLC. You get like 50 Equinoxes out of this. I mean, it can easily beat TLC. Right now with Azirelia becoming worse mid-game, this can beat up on Azirelia as well to an extent. Like, I think this deck is going to be super strong. I think, in general, Invoke decks are going to be super strong at the moment versus almost everything. I mean, look, 2 Equinoxes here, infinite Equinoxes here, as many Equinoxes you want from the Fangs, possible Equinoxes here. And then we go on to that, we still have triple Hush as well for Watcher. We have a if you really needed a silence for Watcher, if you drew no other silences, but overall, this can all of these can also give you a stun card, which is enough. Stunning an ephemeral Watcher is better than silencing it. They drop ephemeral Watcher, you stun instead. Like, this deck is very good versus Watchers. It's decent versus Thresh Nasus because of triple Hush. I understand the frustration. I think it is a bit oppressive, but it is what it is. It wasn't nerfed. I wouldn't have minded to see a nerf to TLC, a small one, maybe a teeny weeny one. I don't know how you nerf it though. Like, I don't know what the proper approach is. I would have liked to see a nerf, but it wasn't there. It is what it is. We'll have to live with it. Secondly, we have Thresh Nasus. Now, make Lissandra. I've played 8+ cost cards. Yeah, it would make her significantly worse, I agree. It would make Watcher come out a bit later than usual. Like, no, there are a lot of ways to nerf it. You can make Watcher you can make it like a play effect where you can actually deny. There's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, well, so debatable. Anyway, Thresh Nasus. I don't know how I feel about Thresh Nasus. Like, it is a really strong deck. It does suffer versus a lot of things, but the meta, in order to make a counter deck for Thresh Nasus, you're sacrificing way too many things versus other decks that are on the ladder. Make Watcher a slow summon spell. I mean, look, there's a lot of ways to nerf TLC. I just don't know what an elegant way to do it is. Should it be nerfed? Maybe. Here's my... Okay, now I'm going to get to something I haven't talked about yet today, and I think this is the main thing out there. People are also saying we need a buff Zillion, right? I think this is where a big thing comes down to. I honestly think that we don't know what we want. Now, I know that sounds Blizzard-like you want to, but you don't. I honestly, truly believe none of us know what we want nerfed or buffed. And I'll tell you why. Because Shurima's not fully out yet. We don't know what's coming out. When is it? Is it in like 30 days we're getting a brand new set of cards? Like, what if the cards that have already been designed 6 months ago are absolutely going to solve our problems? And by nerfing Thresh Nasus now, or by nerfing the cards that are bothering us now, we're going to be crying about them being unusable in 30 days. Like, we don't know. That's my issue. Like, we're so close to a new set of cards, and Shurima's not even close to out yet. Like, Zilean has not even gotten his support cards, I'm hoping, because Zilean cannot be what he is right now. I don't know the future cards. I've not seen them. I can tell you honestly. But the fact that Riot is forced to give us an expansion artificially cut into like 4 parts means that we were going to have unbalanced expansions. And they said in the future they're going to stop doing that. They're going to create expansions in smaller pieces that make sense as a standalone. Literally, what are we getting with Riot? Imagine this. Imagine Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone, whatever you want to call it. Book 1 came out. And the publisher was like, well, you know what would be a really cool idea? Let's cut it into 4 sections. Let's cut it into 4 pieces. And we'll sell them as 4 separate books. In order for there not to be longer pauses for Harry Potter. In order for there not to be a 2-year mark for the next book, we'll release the book in 4 parts over every 6 months. But you know how we're going to cut it? Like, you're going to be reading Harry Potter and like, we want to reduce the amount of book ends. And everyone's like, what? But I need changes. This can't be what I've been waiting for 2 weeks. I need more. Don't worry. In 2 months, you'll get more. That's literally what these expansions are doing to us. They're giving us absolutely incomplete. Because the book was not... just like Harry Potter is not designed, the book is not designed to be cut in 4 parts. You know, it's a good analogy. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, if you wanted to release it in 4 parts, would have to be rewritten to be released in 4 parts. The current expansions were designed to be released as a one-of expansion, and they did the cutting post facto. They didn't design the expansion to be released in 4 parts. They designed the expansion, and then they're like, well, how do we cut it in 4 parts? Same thing in Harry Potter. How do you cut Harry Potter into 4 parts? It's a little bit difficult to do. And books are easier because books actually have chapters. You can cut it at a chapter. It's really hard to do with card releases where everything interacts with everything. Because a book you read from starting to end, an expansion is all over the place. There's no beginning or end, so you can cut it in order. So, honestly speaking, until we see the rest of Shurima, I can't personally know if not nerfing certain things is the right or wrong decision. I don't know. My biggest gripe is that, like, it's already feeling a little bit stale how long we've been facing the same decks. It's been a while. It has been a while. Now, I'm not really one to complain, but I understand why people are complaining. Like me personally, it's like, well, I still think it's a great game. I'm still having fun. But people have been very accustomed to like, if we look at previous patches, I mean, Riot's been really good at mixing things up. Riot has had some amazing patches of Legends of Runeterra, so this obviously feels lackluster comparatively. But that's only an indication of how good of a job they did before. I mean, I played a lot of card games, and they have been much more oppressive than this. We're just very used to having great patches all the time, mixing things up for us. And when that doesn't happen, people feel like, well, we've been let down. But that's only because we have really high expectations. So, yes, I would have loved to have seen different things. I would have loved to have seen a buff to Felios. I would have loved to have seen... I would love to see Zilean. Like, I want to play Zilean. He just sucks. I want to see a Zilean buff. But not if it means that like Zilean is going to be hated upon the moment the next card set comes out. Since what if they have really good cards coming out for Zilean in 30 days? Are they supposed to buff Zilean today so that in 30 days everybody screams and cries about Zilean being overpowered? Please nerf Zilean. Please kill Zilean. And then we get what happened to Felios. And Zilean becomes unplayable again after a massive nerf. After the entirety of Reddit starts hating on Zilean forever. Like, I don't know. I think I think the biggest thing Riot has to do is start planning their expansions as 4 separate or 3 separate expansions, and not one expansion then cutting it to 3 parts. That's my. If they want to do an expansion every 2 months, make them separate expansions. Don't build the big expansion then try to cut it afterwards. I think that's the biggest thing they have to do, so that things don't feel lackluster. Like there's no way that Zillion's the place they want it to be. I don't believe it. If Zillion is getting no support cards in the next expansion or 2, for the rest, how many more Shurima's expansions do we have? Is it 1 more or 2 more? I'm not sure. How many more Shurima expansions are we getting? 1 more? Yeah. If Zillion does not get a massive buff from the upcoming cards, I'm going to say Riot did a crap job with Zillion. Crap job. Personally. I think he has to be getting some cards to go along with him. So that's the... I'm rationalizing this because I believe Riot is doing a good job. They just didn't know how to cut it properly. And I'm hoping in the future they design these mini 2-month expansions as separate things instead of like making a big thing and then try to figure out how to split it apart. The same thing happened in Targon. You guys remember the first Targon releases? How much certain things sucked and they became way better after more stuff came out to support them? You're making some crazy excuses. I'm not saying this patch notes was great. I think it was lackluster. But I understand why it's lackluster. I understand why it might be lackluster. I'm trying to figure out why it's the way it is. And it does make sense in some circumstances. I mean, I get it. It's very popular to hate on things. I can do that too. But I'm just looking in from my lens, and we don't have to agree. Listen. Every one of you are in your absolute right to hate on Riot. You have a right to do it, and if you enjoy doing it, have fun doing it. Riot's a big boy. They can take it. So if you guys get absolute pleasure going on Reddit, typing out threads, trashing on them, and uninstalling the game, and going on... You do you, brother. I don't think Riot needs anybody to back them up. They're a big company. They're a $1 billion company. So if that makes you happy, if that's what you want to do, go for it. Pull out the pitchforks. I even have a pitchfork emote if you guys want it. And even if you're not subbed, you can unlock my emote for like 480 channel points. I have a Grap Riot. Perfect name even. Look at that. Look at the name of the pitchfork. Grap Riot. If you guys want, in the next Riot stream, just start spamming that, you know? You guys do you. Whatever makes you happy. I mean, I'm not going to hold you back. If you want a Riot, you guys go for it. Absolutely enjoy yourselves. I'm just saying, this is how I see it. Now, let me ask you guys something. Who was here on yesterday's stream? Type 1 if you were here for most of yesterday's stream. I'm curious. Okay. Do you guys remember... I got asked multiple times on yesterday's stream, Grap, are you excited about the patch notes tomorrow? Do you guys remember what my answer was? Who remembers how I answered about whether I'm excited for the patch notes tomorrow? Yeah, my answer was no, not really. I was like, I don't even care. I said, I'll be excited if I see some really cool buffs, but not really. Why was I not excited? Because, guys, Riot basically told us we're not going to nerf anything. Like, I'm surprised they did this much. Literally, the patch notes before, we don't have plans to nerf Azirelia. They didn't mention TLC. They didn't mention Thresh Nasus. I don't know why everyone thought there were going to be these massive nerfs. Like, there was no foreshadowing for any nerfs to happen. Like, I thought maybe we were going to see a buff here and there. And, I mean, yeah, I get that's what people wanted, but I had no... Like, I'm not disappointed because I never expected to see crazy stuff, especially that we're getting, like, brand new cards in 30 days. I really didn't expect to see nerfs. I would have liked to have seen them. I would have liked to have seen meta shifts, but that's from a selfish point of view. I love new metas. Is it the best thing for the game? I don't know. Only Riot knows that. Like, in all honesty, if Riot thought nerfing a lot of cards was the best thing for their game, they would have done it. I don't know what their reasons are. I mean, if they had really good reasons, they would have written it down. Unless they're not allowed to. I don't know why they didn't do it. That's why I assume it's because I feel like the cards coming out in 30 days are going to solve our issues. Like, that's what I'm assuming. I can't assume anything else. I know having the same deck in the S tier gets boring after a while. Chat. So, look. I'm on the same boat as you guys. I play this game every day for multiple hours on end. I personally... don't want to be facing TLC, Thresh Nasus, in Azirelia every single game. 100% with you guys. I wish the meta would shift massively towards a Heimerdinger Lulu meta. Listen, that would be exciting. I want to spend the next 30 days until the expansion battling Lulus and complaining about how Heimer is broken. Of course I do. That sounds like fun, dude. Yes. Heimer Lulu to the top of the tiers. Like, imagine. But that's only because I'm selfish. I don't care if it's the best thing for the game or not. I want to have fun now. Today. Not in 30 days. But maybe it's not the best for the game. And I'm not in a position. I don't have enough information to know. I don't know what's coming out in 30 days. Should they buff something today and nerf it in 30? That's an approach. I wouldn't be mad. What if Riot said, hey guys, we've got listen, this could even be an approach. Imagine if Riot said this, guys, in 30 days, everything's going to change. Expect it to happen. But we know you're bored. So what we're going to do is give a temporary buff to the following champions. And this buff will go away in 30 days. That would have been cool. I would have loved to see that. I think that would have been exciting. Like, there are ways to make our experience better without jeopardizing their future things. I mean, that would have been amazing. It's like, listen, for the next 30 days, we know the meta's stale. We know you don't want to wait for a freaking month for things to change. For the next 30 days, we're doing a temporary 2 HP buff to Aphelios, and we're doing X and Y to certain other characters, so things are shifted, but expect this only to last for 30 days. Now, that's not elegant. I understand from a AAA publisher, that's not an elegant solution. So, I don't expect them to do it. It's very inelegant. But whatever. I mean, there are ways they can make it more elegant. Like, there could be like a labs where if you complete the labs, you get like some kind of armor you can equip to like certain champions to make them stronger. Like, and those labs would be like temporary armors to give temporary buffs to cards. I mean, but they would have to build an entire back system for that, right? And it wouldn't be pay to win because labs are free. So like, there could be an entire back system to make temporary changes for stale metas before actual changes come. It would be interesting to do. But again, I'm just making stuff on the spot. I'm not foreseeing problems that would cause. It's a lot of extra work, but like, yeah, everyone agrees we want changes and we want them now. Is it the best for the game? I don't know, because I don't know what's coming up. And they don't have the system. They don't have the system and structure in place at the moment to make really big changes now and then take them away the next month. Wait for next expansion. I mean, that's what I'm doing. Like, I've already resigned myself to the fact that Zillion's not going to be a great champion, and I'm hoping next expansion he is. You do know Grap. I know you know. I don't. I've never lied to you guys about this stuff. Listen, if I didn't know what the... Okay, listen. Let me explain something to those who don't know me very well. Let me explain something really quick, chat. If I knew what the future cards were, do you know what my answer would be? I'm not 100% sure what the next cards are going to be. What does that mean? You can never be 100% sure because they might change them. It could happen. The CEO of Riot could come in and say, I don't like that card, change it. So, 100% is an absolute. There can always be changes. So even if I knew every single card in the upcoming expansion, my answer would be, Grappler, do you know what the next cards are? Can't be 100% sure. Nobody knows. See, it sounds like I'm saying I don't know what the cards are, but in fact, I'm telling you the truth. So, I would be sneaky with my answers, but I wouldn't lie. Check out the pool party Braum skin. Wait, what? There's no pool party Braum skin, brother. Oh, wait. I saw that. Capital Circuit actually posted that on his Twitter. A clip of him talking about doing a cosplay for that. You guys want to... I think that's against TOS, chat. I was thinking about it, but then I realized that it's probably against TOS to wear that kind of swimwear for a guy. So, I'm sorry, that's not going to work. You can't have an imprint of specific parts of your body in swimwear, otherwise you get banned. So it has to be trunks. It's not allowed, chat. No, even in hot tub, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do it. You cannot have an imprint. You cannot see the bulge, otherwise you get banned. It's unfortunate, but you cannot wear Speedos, I think, unless you've got a very small... Zucker. If you have a very small one, you can pull that off. Listen, it's a fact. If you are not on my Discord, you're missing out. And what do I mean by that? If you join my Discord, it is factually true that for every month you are on it without leaving, your Zucker grows by 1/7 of an inch. Now, you might think, Grapple, that's pretty slow, but hey, look, this is a long-term investment, brother. It's a long-term investment. 1/7 of an inch per month. We're talking almost 2 inches a year for your, almost 2 per year for your Zucker. This is, you can't afford to miss out on this, chat. You cannot afford to miss out. I mean, I'm curious, how many here are really, truly satisfied with their Zucker? I know you're not. What's a Zucker? Not a sucker, a Zucker, a Z. You know, like Zuckerberg from Facebook.